Sorry to be silly. I just wanted everybody to see my new boots. So I watched the film Ichiko, which, long story. So back when I was in Japan with my boyfriend in September, we were going to watch the movie Ichiko. And then we couldn't get it to like stream on the TV in the hotel for some reason. Like the hotel had restrictions and we weren't allowed to like watch Hulu. And then we found it. Maybe we did find it on Hulu, I can't remember. But then the second thing we tried was we tried to like stream it through my boyfriend's personal account with subtitles, but then the subtitles wouldn't turn on. So like we tried everything and we couldn't get the English subtitles to turn on. So I was able to watch the film Ichiko, which if you're going to try to watch it in the United States of America, it's going to be quite difficult. So you might need a VPN. I wish I was sponsored. I wish this was like a fun way for me to sponsor, but I am not sponsored because I only have like 300 subscribers. But let me give you a brief rundown of the film Ichiko. So, the film opens with Ichiko, played by Hana Sugisaki, and she's packing a bag while she's watching the news. And now, I'm going to tell you, when I first saw this, I thought the news had nothing to do with what was going on because we didn't have the subtitles. So I figured to myself, she's just watching the news. That's just what's going on. Do my eyelashes look weird? Anyways, so I figured she was just packing a bag while like doing like laundry or something, or like packing for a trip. And then we see her boyfriend is driving on a motorcycle, and then as soon as he comes home and opens the door, Ichiko immediately runs away and she leaves behind her bag. She jumps off the balcony. She tries to get her bag. She's not able to. Her boyfriend walks into the door, realizes that she's gone, and all that she's left behind is a bag. So I thought the boyfriend is an evil man. Good for her. She's running away. But this is where things change. So Ichiko's boyfriend, his name is Yoshinori. He goes to the police to file like her as a missing person. And so the detective, first he asks, well, actually, have you ever met Ichiko's family? And do you like know where she's from? And he was like, not really, actually, now that you mention it. Like he knew that she was from Osaka, but he never met her family before. And the detective reveals to Yoshinori that Ichiko actually doesn't exist. She's not a real person. What? So it's because this film deals with a really interesting problem that's very unique to Japan called the 300-day post-divorce issue. So basically, a short little rundown about this issue is that in Japan, up until very recently, the most recent article I read said that in 2022, they were proposing legislation to do away with this, but I wasn't really able to find if it actually went into law or not. But basically, there's this old law saying that if a woman is married to a man and then she gets divorced, and then she has a child, they assume that child is the kid from the divorced husband. So if you're a woman, you've been married, you're getting a divorced, now you fall pregnant with somebody else's baby, 300 days in between getting divorced from this guy, they think that your baby with this other random guy maybe is the ex-husband's baby. Now, this poses a really huge problem because in Japan, families are registered under like a family registry under your dad's name. So that means the child born to this mom, even if it's not related to the ex-husband, is going to be registered under the ex-husband's family registry. And legally, he's the dad to that child. And this can pose a really big problem for people who are trying to escape like domestic violence issues or who just have a really bad relationship with the ex-husband. I'm sure they had a reason to get divorced in the first place. So let's assume you have an abusive ex-husband. You finally are able to get divorced from him. You meet some other guy. Even if you get married to that other guy, it doesn't matter. That baby belongs to the ex-husband. So the ex-husband kind of has like rights to that baby, even though the baby might have anything to do with that ex-husband. And so this is kind of the main issue, the driving force behind everything that happens in this film. Now we're going back to the present day. So we rewind. Okay, So the day before Ichiko goes missing, Yoshinori actually presents Ichiko with a gift. So they're eating dinner. He gives her a beautiful yukata, which is like kind of like a kimono, but a little bit different, like a very traditional Japanese dress. And then he gives her like a certificate. And this is where I wish I knew Japanese and wish I could read Japanese, because then I could read the paper. But he is proposing to her. He says, let's get married. Let's make it official. And she says yes. And she's really happy and excited about it. She tears up. She cries. So then if she was really happy to get married to this guy and they seemed like they were very much in love, why did she run away? So now we're going to look back into Ichiko's past. So as a little girl, we learned that her mom works in a bar. And she seems like a pretty troubled little girl. So the first kind of clue that we get to this is she starts hanging out with this other little girl, and this other little girl seems to kind of be a little bit wealthy. So this little girl has a house. She's hanging out with her mom. Her mom is offering Ichiko and the little girl little cakes to eat, not just one, but as many cakes as she wants, mind you. And as the mom is leaving in this one scene, Ichiko is even stealing these little sweets and putting them in her pocket for later. So that's probably not a good sign that things are off to a good start in Ichiko's home. And then we see also she's hanging out with this little girl. They go to the mall. We learn that Ichiko tries to steal something for the little girl. So the girl buys herself and Ichiko like a little gift. I don't really remember what it was. And so Ichiko tries to steal something to kind of like pay her back in return, kind of like as a nice gesture. But the little girl's like, I know that you stole this. You have to give it back because it's wrong. And then later on, as a youth, Ichiko brings this friend home with her. And we see her home life is really, really strange right off the bat. So there's this weird guy just walking around outside. Ichiko and the friend go inside, and her house is a mess. She lives in a really tiny, cramped, it kind of looks like government subsidized housing. I don't know if that exists in Japan, so we'll maybe just say like a tiny little apartment. So she's hanging out in there. The house is a mess. She's showing her friend like around her room. She's showing her friend her bird. And then something weird to note is that in Ichiko's bedroom, you see like a bedpan. It's like an assistant toilet thing that you would use if you were kind of bedridden. And the friend's like looking at it, and Ichiko says, oh, that's old. Anyways, don't pay attention to that. Then the weird guy from outside comes inside. He's running around the house. He's opening doors. He's yelling. And he immediately opens the door and jumps onto the bed of this woman. The woman is Ichiko's mom, just to explain what's going on. He notices Ichiko's there. He kicks Ichiko and the friend out of the house. He gives her money. She says, get out of here. Go hang out with your friend. Go do something. So that's crazy. The friend is really uncomfortable and they don't hang out with Ichiko anymore. So that's kind of our first clue about Ichiko's life. If you can read kanji and you can read other Japanese like hiragana and katakana, I'm sure it makes things so much clearer, because there are these little like title cards in between a couple scenes. So as we're moving back and forth through time in the film, they have these title cards that say something. I have no idea what they say though, because I cannot read the Japanese language. Later on, Ichiko is in high school. This is kind of where like the next most important set of things and the most important set of characters happens. So Ichiko's in high school. She has this little punk boyfriend, and she's making out with a little punk boyfriend before school starts. And he's like, this is like another kind of clue that things are not going well in Ichiko's home. And this part is like a little bit upsetting maybe to some people. So if you don't want to hear about something that's upsetting. So the boyfriend's going to paw at her boobies. And she's like, I don't really like that. I told you I don't really like that. And he's like, okay, well, I want to like have sex with you, so we should do that. Then they go to class, and Ichiko's boyfriend is beating up this little nerd guy, and he's like, hey, you've been stalking my girl Ichiko. That's my girlfriend, so you better not be stalking her anymore. You better apologize to her. And so he makes the little weenie kid get on his knees and apologize to Ichiko on his hands and knees, and Ichiko is just like uncomfortable. She honestly doesn't really even acknowledge it. She just goes to the back of the classroom and was like, okay, whatever. Then it's the end of the school day. She's walking home, and the the current boyfriend is like, hey, we never have sex anymore. What's going on with that? He kind of seems like a punk, so we don't get the clue that he's, that concerned about it, really. He just wants to get his jollies off. And Ichiko's just like, I'm not really comfortable with that. And then kind of out of nowhere, Ichigo like really over-sexualizes herself, and she tries to put her boyfriend's hands down like her pants. And he's like, what's going on here? We assume that they break up because he runs away. We learn basically at this period in time, though we skip back and forth, the stalker boy, his name is Kita, and he has been following Ichigo home. It's kind of a little bit more complicated than that. Kita and Ichigo have some kind of strange kind of friendship relationship. So they kind of hang out with each other. He is kind of following Ichigo home, but it's not like Ichiko like, you know, doesn't acknowledge him. Sometimes they talk to each other. We see that throughout the summertime, they were hanging out with each other too. In the present day, Ichiko's boyfriend, Yoshinori, he's going around interviewing all these people from Ichiko's past because he's trying to figure out where she gone. The detective is like, she's not a registered person. Here's what's going on. Here's what we know. Eventually, the detective says, hey, did you hear that news story about the body that they found on the top of that mountain? We think Ichiko might have something to do with it. What? Okay, so now he's trying to like uncover all these secrets. He's going through Ichiko's like belongings. She finds like a family picture, and it looks like a social security number maybe with a different name on it. On the back of the picture, there's the name of somebody and an address. So he goes to discover all these things about her past. So he goes to, she used to work as like this little like live-in newspaper delivery girl. So she used to like live in this like dorm kind of thing where she delivered newspapers, and she had a roommate. And so he goes to talk to the old landlady. The landlady's like, here's the roommate's name, go talk to her. He talks to people that knew her as a little girl, people that knew her in high school. He learns from the girl that he used to be a roommate with that Ichigo was a little bit of a strange roommate. Like, she was pretty nice, but whenever she was sick, she would never go to the hospital. She said she hated hospitals. And one day, kind of out of the blue, out of nowhere, she was like, I killed somebody back in Osaka. Okay, so now we're gonna flash back to the past again. Okay, so disturbing yet again. Viewers, beware. Ichiko is a teenager. One day, Kita is following her home from school, and he sees the weird guy outside the house again. We learn that this weird guy who's going outside the house, coming inside to see Ichiko's mom, is actually a social worker. I didn't pick up on that. Maybe it was lost in translation. Maybe it was never mentioned, but maybe it was like obvious to Japanese viewers. Maybe it was stated in the title card somewhere. It was just lost on me. But in my research, he's a social worker. So the social worker is hanging outside of Ichiko's house again. He's like being kind of weird. He's like kind of like pushing her around outside. So Kita kind of like snoops around Ichiko's house to see what's going on. So he's overhearing this conversation that they're having on the balcony, and he says something to Ichiko about, well, I can never escape this family, and I helped you hide that body on top of the mountain. What? And then after that happens, we see that actually this social worker guy who's been seeing Ichiko's mom has been sexually abusing Ichiko, and he tries to attack her. And then in retaliation, it's been building up after all this time, Ichiko actually kills him on accident. Kita's there. It's weird. Kita goes in. He's like, I'm gonna help you. I honestly have always wanted to be your hero. So he's always been kind of following Ichiko around, kind of almost waiting for the opportunity to swoop in and kind of save the day. Ichiko's freaking out. He's like, don't worry, I'm going to help you. We're going to hide the body together. Flash forward again to the present day. Yoshinori finds Kita. He interviews him. He learns all this information about him. He's like, honestly, I don't care what you have to say about Ichiko. Ichiko. I still care about her. I still love her. Tell me anything. I don't care what she did, and I just want to know how to help her and what I can do. And, you know, her past is complicated, but that's fine. So that's what's happening in the present moment. Okay, now we kind of have to go back again. I know I'm going all over the place. So now we're going back again. And this is, as Ichiko is like a young woman, this is when she's working for the newspaper company. So her little roommate friend is like, hey, I want to open up a bakery one day. Wouldn't it be so nice if you and me could open up a bakery together? We could sell cakes together. Wouldn't that be so sweet? And Ichiko's like, yes, this is now my new dream. I think that would be a great thing. So Ichiko has left Osaka. She's left behind her old past. And this is a good point to mention that Ichiko is also going by a different name in the past. I really should have mentioned that before, but she was going by the name Tsukiko in the past. Like all through her teenage years, she was going by Tsukiko. That's what Kita knows her as. That's what everybody knows her as. So now she is working in this bakery with a friend, and she's going by Ichiko. Wouldn't you know it, out of freaking nowhere, here comes Kita. Kita's like, Tsukiko, it's me, Kita. Remember when we killed that person and hid the body? And Ichiko is like, you need to leave me alone. I don't go by the name Tsukiko anymore. I'm Ichiko. I'm trying to be my own person. You're stalking me, which is kind of weird. Like, you'd have to let me go and live my own life. So Kita's her past is always kind of following her around. Through the conversations that Yoshinori is having with the detective, he learns that Ichiko was going by the name Tsutiko Kawabe, and that person actually does exist. Tsutiko Kawabe is the name of somebody who had, I think it was muscular dystrophy or some kind of like atrophy disease where they were losing movement in their body. That is Ichiko's sister. So what? So why was Ichiko going by her sister's name? Flashback to the past again. Ichiko is a teenager. We see Ichiko and her sister, her sister Tsukiko is in this bed. She's bedridden. She can't move. She's hooked up to all these machines. We see this scene. It's on a really hot day. It's always emphasized in this film just how hot and uncomfortable and unpleasant a lot of these situations are. Her mom is like, all right, I'm going to work. I'm heading out of here. Her mom seems miserable, by the way. And Ichiko is caring for her sister, and she decides in the middle of caring for her, I'm just not going to hook her back up to the breathing machine. I'm going to let my sister die. So her sister dies. She kind of just lets her pass away. And when her mom comes home, her mom actually thanks Ichiko because she's been such a strain on their finances and they're already really poor. So what we can gather, let's just do a quick recap of everything that's going on. Okay, Ichiko gets engaged, basically. She gets proposed to. She seems happy about it, but then she runs away because she learns on the news that they found this body at the top of the mountain. The body belongs to her sister. She used to go by her sister's name, Tsutiko. Ichiko is an unregistered person, so she started to use her sister's name so that she could go to public school, get health care, access any kind of like government sponsored thing and be recognized like as a person in the eyes of the government. So she started going by her sister's name when, unfortunately, in high school, she accidentally murdered somebody else. So then she and this other guy help hide the body. Now she's killed 2 people and had to hide 2 bodies. So she's like, I'm running away. I'm escaping this life. I have to carve out a new path for myself. She starts working as a newspaper girl, and she starts going by her real legal name, Ichiko, again. And then her past catches up to her. Kita finds her. She's like, Kita, you gotta go away. I gotta live out my own life. Now Ichiko meets her current boyfriend, Yoshinori, and the rest of the events play out as we see them. Now we are caught up to the present moment in time. Okay, everything else going forward is just going to be like chronological. So Yoshinori finds Kita. He interviews him, and then after Yoshinori leaves, Kita gets a strange visitor, this woman. This woman is like, hey, do you know Ichiko? She told me to come to this address because she said she's going to help me kill myself. Now stick with me, okay? So then Kita gets this text message from Ichiko, and she says, I'm here at this location. Meet me here with the girl. In the end, we learn that, through the news, that there's been 2 bodies found in this car. Kita and this strange woman are found in the car. Their bodies at the bottom of the pier, they're dead. And still gone in connection to this case is Ichiko. So we see Ichiko, she's just walking around, wandering by herself. So she has now killed her sister, the social worker guy, and Kita, and now this other random woman who just wanted to die. She's wandering around by herself in an effort to continue to, I guess, carve her own path and not be tied to the past and kind of tie up loose ends. The way that the film ends, we get this really sweet montage of these moments in Ichiko's life. So the happy moments of Ichiko's life. Her life has been filled with a lot of trauma, and I will say I really truly feel like the trauma in this film has a purpose. It means something. It's not just put in there for shock value. It absolutely tells the story of this person, which is very complicated because Ichiko is basically like a serial killer in a way. She's killed 4 people, and yet at the end of the film we still feel for her because she seems truly like a really, really nice person. She's emotional, she's sweet, she cares about others, she wants to live out these sweet dreams, and she really connects with other people, and I think that's what makes her so intriguing. She's very easy to love, and not like in a manipulative way, not like in a sociopath kind of way, in a way where I feel like if any of us met her, we would just probably want to help her too. And so that's how she met her boyfriend Yoshinori. We see this sweet montage of how they met at this festival. He gave her the last noodles that he bought at this noodle stand. They start dating. He's taking care of her. They move in together. And it seems like Ichiko has finally carved out, through all these extreme situations in her life, she's carved out a nice future for herself. But then her past catches up with her again when her sister's body is found. What else is she supposed to do? She has to run away. This film is really packed with these ethical and philosophical questions, kind of just about identity in general and who you are and carving your own path. So in an interview with Eastern Kicks, the director talks about adapting this film from a play. So he wrote the original theater, like stage play, and then he adapted it into a film. And so the original play he talks about is actually, the format is quite different. So in the film, we jump between times, we jump between different people, and the stage play has kind of Ichiko like almost on trial, he describes it as. So everybody, all the main characters are on the stage at the same time, and everybody else is kind of describing their story, their connection to Ichiko, how they know her in their own kind of lens. And he kind of wanted to create the same feeling, he said, in the film by not really having Ichiko tell her own story, but all these other people in her life are telling her story. And it's kind of interesting because it's quite a unique, I think, genre almost. So it's kind of like a pulpy crime, kind of like what am I trying to say, like almost not quite a noir. I'm not gonna say it's a noir, but it's like it follows the same like mystery where we have this one central character. He's dedicated to figuring out what's going on. He's going around interviewing all these people, piecing together Ichiko's past. But honestly, him being like a little detective and going around interviewing people isn't even the central like focus of the film. It's other people's stories. So we see a lot of Ichiko's past coming back as a little kid, as a teenager, as a young woman, interviews with her mom, her friends, her enemies, honestly, all come together, and we kind of get this idea about who she is and what her story is. So Ichiko never tells her own story, either in the play or in the movie. And I think that's really interesting. I think it kind of almost allows her emotions to shine through more in a weird way, which I know is strange because usually you would think hearing a person's story through their own voice and their own perception is the most valuable. And I'm not saying that it's not, but I think in this film, it's interesting to see just how kind she was to other people and what she meant to other people. And though she's not everybody's favorite person, she kind of has, a little bit of a dark a little bit a dark past, and she certainly rubs some people the wrong way. I think it really shows and highlights that Ichiko, through everything, tried to be a good person, tried to just kind of do what she had to do to survive. We really see that Ichiko is not evil. She's a killer. She has to kill people to survive, and normally that would be very hard to sympathize with, but I don't think anybody could watch this film and then say, yeah, well, she got what was coming to her. I don't think anybody could feel that way, because she's really not selfish, even though she has to survive. She is motivated by survival and shaped by her extremely traumatic past. And honestly, throughout the circumstances that happened in Ichiko's life, kind of what else was supposed to happen to her. So she's an unregistered person. She can't access healthcare. She can't access education. She can't kind of exist as a person. She can't really get a job because she's not registered as a person. That's not her fault. It's not really super her mom's fault. It's just what has happened. Her family is in poverty. Her mom is working, flirting with dudes, hooking up with the social worker, and trying to keep her sister alive. Her sister can't really do anything. And I feel kind of terrible saying that, because I don't mean to say anything negative about people who are disabled, and obviously people who are extremely disabled still deserve to be taken care of. But imagine being extremely poor and you, who can't even get access to education, who can't even get access to like the friends that public education comes from and healthcare, have to take care of your sister who is just, existing, kind of taking up resources and taking up money. What else was Ichiko kind of supposed to do? It's not like she can ever go to college to better her situation. She can't ever get a really good job to better her situation, because she can't get a good job because she's not registered as a person. She can't, get access to healthcare and things like that. I believe end up like her mom. So I think her mom's story really is telling that that's the direction Ichiko's life would have gone in. So it seems like Ichiko's mom is quite a troubled person as well. She's seeing a man, the social worker, who seems truly like a really terrible, bad person, and she's kind of selling her body to kind of keep her daughter alive. She got divorced from this other guy who is Tsukiko's father. Where is he? He's out of the picture. He's not even around. And then when Yoshinori visits her mother in the present day, we see that she's kind of repeating the same cycle. It seems like she's in an abusive relationship. She leaves the house and runs into Yoshinori because she gets into a fight with her current partner. So she's kind of a mess herself. So that's kind of the fate Ichiko would have succumbed to if she were to continue to live with her mom in Osaka and to continue to live as Ichiko Awabe. So I guess we have to really consider what choices does a person in her circumstance really even have. And I think it makes us really think about other people who are in marginalized groups who deal with not the same thing in America, but similar, very difficult circumstances. What else are they supposed to do but kind of break the law? They have no other choice, because the law can't serve them, can't help them. Honestly, if Ichiko were to even file a police report, they're going to be like, okay, also you're not a registered person, so who the hell are you? And in a way, she kind of carves out her own destiny. Not that it's a very happy destiny, but at least it's different from the one that would have been chosen for her. And the film really doesn't judge Ichiko. So I think the open ending of Ichiko just wandering around. I like the open ending because it kind of allows us to see the most important parts of Ichiko's story. We know why she is going to continue to wander around for the rest of her life. We know that she's probably going to repeat this cycle where she kind of survives on the good nature of other people. So she might run into another nice person like Yoshinori, like that girl that she was working in the bakery with. She might run into another person, and that person might allow her to continue to live her life and to continue to kind of skate off of other people's hospitality until her past comes to haunt her yet again. I think that's just the cycle that she's going to continue to live through. The director also says something interesting. He said that you really can't judge a person who is trying to survive. So we really can't pass judgment on somebody who was forced to make decisions that none of us would ever have to make. It's easy for us to say, well, you could have just done this and this and this and this, but think of all the steps that you would have to take just to do, honestly, one simple thing. So it kind of reminds me of, I've been really into like these interviews of like really interesting life circumstances, and this woman wrote a book. Totally don't remember the woman's name, totally don't even remember like who produced the video on YouTube, but she was in witness protection, and now she's an advocate for people who are in witness protection. And she talked about, I was a little girl in witness protection. I didn't commit a crime. My dad committed a crime. But me and all of my siblings had to go into witness protection, and my life was a pile of shit because of it. So they didn't have any access to like government funding. So like no SNAP benefits, no like housing benefits, because they don't really exist as people. So like when they look up their social security number, her social security number belongs to like this guy who died long ago. They got to scoop up his social security number. She has a fake name, so they're like, well, this doesn't make any sense because this name doesn't belong to this social security number. And you would think that if you're in hiding, that the government would try to hook you up and make sure that things work out for you and explain to everybody what's going on. But none of that ever worked for her. When she went to go to college, there was a problem. She couldn't go to college. She went through all these stupid steps just to try to prove, yes, actually, I was in witness protection, so of course this information doesn't make any sense. And my witness protection liaison was supposed to tell you this, but they didn't tell you this. She couldn't get married. When she had kids, that was also a problem. So every single step of her life was a problem. And even when she was trying to better her life and contribute to society, it was a problem. And so imagine that. But you're just an unregistered person. What are you supposed to do? Every step that you try to take to better your life is going to cause another problem. And I think we all have ideas about kind of like what wanderers look like, what homeless people look like, what people who commit crimes look like. We have these ideas about what those people look like and what motivates them. And I think we've all been taught, at least in America, that people who do these things are crazy people, or they're just evil. And that really doesn't explain what motivates a person to do what they do. We can't just explain everything by this person is lazy, or this person is evil, or this person just didn't want to have to do the steps that everybody else does because they've been put into a situation that is extreme. It really asks us, one, who are we to judge? And two, that people who are nice and well-adjusted don't always have the same backstory as you or I, and everybody's going through their own thing. It sounds like one of those like Facebook statuses, like everybody's going through their own battles, but it is true. Everybody is going through their own battles, and we really don't know what's going on with them. Nobody really knows Ichiko. That's something that really sticks out to me at the end of the film. Even her own mother didn't really know what Ichiko was up to as an adult. She kind of just left Osaka, and the rest of her life from that point forward is a mystery. Her friends and people that knew her and hung out with her don't really know her story. Even her own fiance, who really truly loved her and we can tell really cares and really wants to help her, he doesn't even know her full story. And nobody ever really will. Something interesting else that I wanted to talk about was this kind of theme of men deciding Ichiko's fate, or men dictating what happens to Ichiko. So I saw this comment on Letterboxd, and it's true that Kita, one, wanted to be her hero, so he was trying to like kind of snoop around. And even though Ichiko's boyfriend is well-meaning, Yoshinori, he's a good guy, even he was like, I can't just let her leave. I need to know what happens to her. And that comes from a good place. I'm not saying he's like an evil, misogynistic dude, but it is kind of a central theme. And it really got me thinking about when else does this happen in the film. So from her very birth, her dad and her mom's ex-husband kind of decided her fate. So her mom getting divorced from this man who presumably either subtextually or textually, I don't know because I don't read Japanese, was abusive to her mom. This ex-husband guy who has literally no relation to Ichigo other than he's her sister's dad, he getting divorced and being abusive to her mom is why now she's unregistered. So there's one man who already don't even know her, he wasn't even around when she existed. When she was born, he gets to kind of decide what happens in her life. 2, the next person that decides her life is her own dad. Where is her own dad? He's not even around. He seemed to have left her and her mom and sister in poverty. So he's not around. 3, that social worker guy who was abusing Ichiko and not really taking care of, honestly, not even really doing his job, like not even taking care of the situation with her sister. A 4th invisible man is the Japanese government, if you want to think about it that way. This old 300-year-old law gets to decide whether or not Ichiko gets to be registered as a person, because she has to be registered under her father's name. Stupid. Why can't she just be registered as her own person or under her mom's name, because her mom is taking care of her? So that doesn't make any sense. So this old law gets to dictate whether or not she has access to healthcare, free education, a social security number, a passport, a job. That doesn't make any sense either. This guy, Kita, he's coming back from her past to haunt her, to find out where she is, to remind her of the crimes that she committed, to try to be her hero, to try to save her. Her boyfriend was beating up Kita. That doesn't make any sense. He didn't really have anything to do with the situation. He doesn't really care about what's going on with her. She's clearly not doing well. All he cares about is getting some pussy. And then finally, though he's well-meaning, Yoshinori, when she is trying to take her fate into her own hands again by escaping, was like, I need to find out. I need to know what's happening to her. I need to help her. I really need to help her.
And I think this scene really shows us that Yoshinori likes to try to fix broken things. Ichiko is a vulnerable person who Yoshinori probably wanted to help, just like the fly.
And he's trying to save her too. And I understand where he's coming from. I'm not saying he's a bad dude, but it just goes to show you over and over again throughout her life, constantly, as she's trying to escape her past and make a new destiny for herself, these men in her life continue to just pull her back in. Right when she thought she was out, they pulled her right back in. Just being an unregistered person creates problems that, for people who live in the United States of America, who are born in the United States of America, we never have to worry about that ever. Isn't that crazy? Just by being born in the United States of America, your parents go to the hospital, they fill out your birth certificate, boom, now you get access to the government. That's insane. And then being from anywhere else, like when you immigrate here or if you come here illegally, you just don't get access to anything. Public education, which should be a right. Food, which should be a right. The hospital when you're about to die, like, and your leg is broken, that should be a right. You just don't get access to that. And so I think, at least from an American lens, I never could understand what Ichiko's going through, but I kind of see similarities. And finally, the film deals a lot about identity. It has these constant themes about what it means to actually be you. So imagine this, as Ichiko is a young woman going through high school, she's going by the name Tsukiko, the name of her sister who she had to kill in order to access education and to access this kind of new life. She has to live with the name that is associated with this evil deed that she did, right? Okay. And so when Kita finds her all these years later, he calls her Tsukiko and she says, I don't go by that name anymore. And it's obviously for her safety, because under the name Tsukiko, who people knew her as Tsukiko, she killed somebody. It's also associated with the person that she had to kill. So she's escaping from the crimes that she committed, but she's also escaping from Osaka, her past, her mom, the bad things that happened to her. Now she's Ichiko again. And being Ichiko obviously comes with its downsides, obviously, as I just talked about. But in a way, being Ichiko is free because she doesn't exist. In the eyes of the government, in the eyes of the new people that she's going to meet throughout her life, she doesn't exist. She has no past as Ichiko. The name to others doesn't mean anything. Tsukiko means something to somebody, to people back there in Osaka. Ichiko is a new person. I mean, you know, it's kind of like what's in a name, but to be herself, she's trying to carve a new destiny, and constantly her fate keeps being rerouted back to her past. The film asks us to examine, who are we? Are we our past? Are we the crimes that we committed? Is Ichiko the murders that she committed? Is she a serial killer? I don't think any of us would label her truly as a serial killer. She doesn't kill people out of enjoyment. She doesn't kill people because she doesn't care. She kills people because she has to survive. She deals with a lot of guilt and trauma in her life. So who is Ichiko? And who are we? Are we our actions of the past? Are we the person that we used to be? People who have changed their names, honestly, I think there is kind of like a power in being able to change your name. Like, yeah, that was me in the past. I'm not that person anymore. And as a person, I know this sounds kind of weird, but as a person who like has gone through a lot of changes in their life, I can understand the desire to want to like throw everything away and just start new. Back when I was really an anxious person with bad OCD, I would always say to like my friends and family, I wish I could just like skip town like they used to do back in the day. Skip town, go by a different name. Nobody would even know who I am. I could just pick up a job and start a new life. And the past me, the things that I've said and done, the mistakes that I've made, just don't ever exist in this new life. And Ichiko is kind of fulfilling that desire to the extreme. But I think it also forces us to contend with our own past. So we will just live with our mistakes, but that doesn't define who we are as people. We have the luxury of being able to continue to live on our lives and to carve our own destinies, and we can't let the past hold us back, because our lives are actually just much easier than Ichiko's life is. So if she could do it, we can do it too, but we also don't have to murder people in the process. That was my review of Ichiko. It's such an interesting film. I really, really enjoyed this film. If you have the opportunity to watch this movie on like a VPN, do it. It's super cool. It's super interesting. I don't think a lot of people have reviewed it on Letterboxd, so please, if you have the opportunity, review it on Letterboxd. It really shows you like other cultures are valuable in film, because like this is an experience very unique to Japan. So it opens your brain up to all kinds of new ideas and cultural happenings, and kind of this new take on identity from a different perspective. You wouldn't think it would be that different, but lo and behold, it is very different. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel. Thank you for supporting me on the PoopTube channel. And if you wanted to, you could follow me on TikTok. Also, I am at Madam Driver on there. And thank you. Goodbye.